So something happened on May 24th. Yes! And this was, what, a month after VSC was dethroned? Pretty crazy. So I want to talk about what this means for the game, and more importantly, the demon list. So first of all, I just want to say that it's obviously very unlikely that Thinking Space 2 is harder than Amethyst. In fact, the only reason Thinking Space 2 ever was a top 1 was because it was verified just hours before Amethyst. But anyway, this was a very interesting situation, of course. And it got me thinking about the future of difficulty in this game. That being, are top demons too hard now? I know, you've probably heard that many times before. But seriously, it is getting kinda ridiculous at this point. Like, remember when people were freaking out about Slaughterhouse? That's like number 16 on the list now. It's probably 17 as the video's out. Well, why do I say this? You see, usually throughout the game's history, when a new number 1 was verified, it took roughly 10,000 to 40,000 attempts, which is a pretty big range. However, it is largely accurate. In fact, let's go through all of them quickly. First, this disclaimer. This video number 1 is taken from store for this video every heard of one July 10, 2024, starting from Bloodbath, and it's not in fact taken from the Davis, because I do not consider the demon to see official arbiter of every number David ever was, so if you disagree then you should know that I do not care, as it is my video, so do not comment on my list, it's wrong, it's just because I know you will anyway. Starting with Bloodbath, which unlike other hardest levels before it, was actually made and verified specifically to be number 1. And it was the first one that I could find the attempt count for after Cataclysm. It took over 25,000 attempts. Phobos, verified by Kermal, took around 30,000 attempts. Wikicropolix by Blast CFB took a measly 8,240 attempts. The Hell Zone was a little under 20,000. Athanatos by Sunox, I couldn't find. Catabath by Sunix, I couldn't find. Athanasia by Virus, I couldn't find. Sonic Wave by Sunix was 35,000 attempts. Death Corridor Z, I couldn't find. PPF by Smokes was 14,376 attempts. Bloodlust, verified by Nobbleboy, took 120,000 attempts, and this was the first massive attempt count jump, since this was a big difficulty jump as well. Crimson Planet, verified by Wishy, I can't find. Zodiac, verified by Technical, took 25,161 attempts. Back to the low numbers. And then Tartarus, verified by Duffy, shoots back up to 61,742 attempts. Blind Blizzard by Braden Bull, 74,099. Sightless Sandstorm by Braden Bull took 73,674 attempts. Sonic Wave Infinity, verified by Zani, took 60,000 attempts. Arcturus by Ultrakawa HT took 129,480. VSC by Osarian, 154,153. Slaughterhouse, verified by Dougie, took 79,170 attempts. And Abyss of Darkness, verified by Curse, took 54,315. Pretty low for this era. And then we're back up with Silent Club Step, verified by Paco, took 138,000 attempts. Acheron from Zoink, 72,808. Tidal Wave, verified by Zonk again, 49,534. And Thinking Space 2, I can't find. The TS2 movie isn't out yet. Amethyst, I can't find. In fact, I made a graph to represent this data. As you can see, it starts off low at the start and then goes up, spiking with Bloodlust, of course. Then from Tartarus onward, it spirals. One notable aspect of the graph that I like is how the 2 Zoink verifications that are present represent big dips in attempt counts, because he's just that good. So obviously, this is my first point. Top demons are taking much higher attempts than they used to, meaning that this will inevitably lead to attempt count spiraling completely out of control. This isn't even just for verifications, even. The trend is visible for the various victors of these levels. Oh wait, what victors? Oh yeah, no one is beating any of these levels anymore. The first time a top demon experienced this, from what I remember, is Avernus. You know that level that the Zoink buffed so much that no one wanted to beat it for a really long time? Well, now that's like every top 5. I mean, Booba Wamba was so allergic to victors, it got moved up specifically to get some, which was obviously pretty controversial in of itself. And there's also the point of Tidal Wave, new top 1, having only 2 victors after 19 full months, with Servax recently becoming the 3rd. This should not be possible. Acheron had 14 after the same amount of time. Funnily enough, the 14th victor in question was also Servax. But anyway, it would seem that this is because it's too hard. I mean, probably. Like, Tidal Wave is rated well gameplay-wise by the victors, from what I can see, and it isn't even an isolated incident. You know about Nullscapes, the impossible robot level that still has 0 victors, and this guy is trying, so it's not even due to a lack of effort. I hate to sound like a boomer, but back in my day, when a new number 1 came out, there would be tens of people beating it. Of course, excluding Bloodbath, since no one else had a 144Hz monitor, so that's an exception. Plus, I wasn't even really around back then anyway. But for example, Bloodlust, that had 14 victors after 19 months, which is the same as Acheron. Tartarus had 24. And I'm picking from former number 1s that were on the top for a long time, to be fair. The numbers are baffling. I mean, across the game's history, there have been so many insanely good players that were capable of beating a number 1. It seems like that pool of people is just shrinking every year. I find that due to the evidence, it can be concluded that top demons are getting too hard. Also, I don't really like many top levels these days. This brings me to... I like this level an unusual amount. Apart from it being not hell themed, I think it also looks really good, and it works really well with the song. I am saying this because I kind of don't like the majority of top levels nowadays, and since this is largely subjective, you can call me a boomer if you want, but just hear me out. So this all started to hit me right around when Spectre was verified. So Spectre, the sequel to the former number 1 demon Zodiac. I watched the verification and I thought that the level was really cool and that it looked good. But then later that day, I tried to recall like details of the level and I just couldn't. I just forgot everything. I couldn't remember any distinct part of the level. I just watched the verification of this XL level hours ago and I couldn't remember one distinct part of it. The decoration is good, of course, but I think the main factor behind this is just the way the gameplay is made. None of the gameplay was really that interesting, to be honest. To be clear, this has nothing to do with how fun the level is. I'm not even close to being good enough at the game to comment on that, but just from the perspective of looking at it. Another level that gave me the same feeling was Flame Wall, which is even longer, and I just couldn't remember anything about it. Like, it just wasn't memorable. I've concluded that this probably isn't because they're new, because there are loads of new levels that I love. In fact, when Centipede by Xander was verified, and I saw it, it instantly became one of my favorite levels in the entire game. When I first watched the Tidal Wave verification, I loved the way it looked, and the music of it, and everything. I really liked that level. I think top demons these days just tend to be less interesting to me. And there's actually a pretty hot take that I'll use as my last example. I like Thinking Space. I think that Thinking Space is a good level. And I consider this a hot take because I remember when it got rated, a lot of people got really angry. The reason I like Thinking Space is because the gameplay and atmosphere is interesting. And this kind of comes from the fact that I really like impossible levels. And just the way that the gameplay is just really interesting to me. The decoration doesn't have to be breathtaking. Just think of all the Kermal levels that are rightfully universally praised. These levels are able to portray their atmosphere perfectly, with this seemingly minimal decoration. My point is, I think levels in general are putting way too much emphasis on decoration, and gameplay is being forgotten more and more. Not to say Spectre and Flame will have bad gameplay. Again, it's probably fun, but I can't appreciate the gameplay very well when the level is this over-decorated. About a month ago, I saw a post from Werwin, who is a name I respect and I like his commentary, and he talked about how the Space Gauntlet levels are praised for their decoration and how this leads him to believe his insecurity theory. Now you should definitely go to his channel and check that post out if you can find it. But the reason I even made this video is because I really like Tidal Wave, and I don't like the trend of attempt against spiraling out of control as difficulty evolves. But anyway, this is just my opinion. That's basically what I think about the future of this game. Just before I end this video, I remember this Stormfly video I watched like 2 years ago, I think, where he explained the whole thing with the attempt counts, and it seems to be unlisted, which is a shame. But I guess that's it.